Okay, so there's an art to gooning. All right. Now, a lot of people don't want to admit it. Okay. But the thing about gooning is that it's not an activity to be ashamed of per se, because it's a biological process. It's a natural process. People have been doing it for thousands of years. Right? That's the thing about gooning. Okay. So, um, there's an essence to it. All right. An art per se. It's like a ritual. It's a form of ritual practice for many people like me. Hell, I gooned before this video even started. All right. I had to bust one out because I had to like lock in. I was like, all right, it's goon time, bro. It's time to fuck, it's time to lock in, bro. That's why I busted one out. Hey, it's a thing everyone does, bro. Even girls goon. I'm not even speaking for just men. I'm speaking for girls too. They they're out there gooning just as much as us, bro. Actually, no. Okay. Actually, I don't know because during their ovulation cycle, I mean, they're gooning like a lot more than a guy on average will in a day. But when they're on their period, I guess not really gooning. Anyways, but girls still goon. That's the point I'm trying to come across this. And there's an art to it, right? There's an art to gooning that like a lot of people don't really like discuss. Me personally, I actually am very fascinated by it. While also I take part in the art. I am a advocate for the art of gooning. Okay. So picture this, bro. It's a long day of work or school, right? You get home, you finish your homework, or you finish whatever you got to do. All right, it's about midnight. Like, let's say it's a long day of work or school, and then you have to study. The long day of school, you got to study. All right, it's about, you get to like midnight. All right, you're finally done. Take your shower. I mean, you're already in the shower, so you already naked, so it's already kind of turning you on. You know what I mean? But you get in the shower, you get out. All right, you get out of the shower. You put on some music. You light some candles. Then you find that one video you've been thinking about all day, bro. You find that one video, you turn it on, and then you just stroke away. Okay, that is peak living, bro. That is the art. That is my ritual. That is my daily ritual, dude. Candles included. I just did that. All right, I'm not gonna give you a tour of my room. You just gotta take my word for it. I did it. Yeah, that's how I goon, bro. I don't know if a lot of people goon like that. Maybe I'm just more of a ritual gooner. Maybe I'm more of like the quality over quantity type of guy. Maybe I am, compared to some people who would like bust out like 4 times a day, or they're just very like into gooning. Some guys are like that, I feel like. In fact, I know a guy, complete chronic gooner. I mean, he says he's a former chronic gooner. I think he still is a chronic gooner, but actually, I know two people like that. I know multiple people like that, okay? It's very common. All right, that's the thing. Um, anyways, this is an art form, all right? This dedication. This is a ritual. This is something that, a lot of people just like to look down upon, I feel like. Um, there's a big thing where like people will say like gooning hurts testosterone, or the porn is bad for your brain. Now, although I like to get on to the fact that like porn may be pretty bad for your like mind, especially your developing mind, you know, I feel like at the same time you can control it. It's also an evil industry, I guess, run by we all know who it's run by, right? And we just yeah, I get that, okay? We don't want to contribute. Gooning, however, I feel like I feel like it's kind of just an activity. It's nothing to be ashamed of. I don't think it's going to lower your testosterone. Like I said, it's a biological process. There are a lot worse things you could be doing than gooning, all right? Like you could be like fucking shooting up heroin. For the love of God, bro. You could shoot up heroin. That's like 10 times worse. It's not that bad. It's not the like, I see a lot of videos where it's like talking about gooning and like porn is like hindering everything else in life that you do. I really don't think it does. Like that's the thing. I don't think that like, porn and even porn, like even as bad as porn is, I don't think that it's like completely damaging your life. I really don't. maybe things will be better if you stop. Me personally, when I got off that grind, I just ended up being like more sad. So I got back on the grind. I'm bumping those numbers up. I used to like goon like every day, 2 years, around 2, 3 years. Like, gooned every day, like sometimes twice a day. That was but like I did it in a ritual, like I said, so it was very quality goons, right? Not just as many as I could bust out. All right. Um, and then I stopped. I don't know why I stopped, to be honest. I think I just like I was like I just didn't feel like it. Now I don't know if that's a bad thing or not, because I feel like the more you have to goon, the higher libido you have, which is another benefit of gooning, of course. I mean, if you have to goon a lot, like, is that not good? I think it is. It's like high libido. That means you're fertile. That's good. That's a good sign. Anyway, back to what I was saying. I used to goon a lot, all right, but a lot more than I do now. All right, those were my prime. That was my prime, bro. I missed that kind of. Those were peak days, bro. I'm telling you, like those are the peak days. 1 to 2 goons a day, bust them out. Sometimes before I had to do work, sometimes after. Didn't matter. It was peak living, bro. Right? And then I don't know what happened. I stopped gooning, and honestly, life just ended up being worse. I ended up in like a depressive mindset because of it, and that's just that's what sucks about it, bro. And a lot of people will say like, and then I just started to embrace it. I'm like, I'm a gooner too. So I just started gooning more, and honestly, I feel better. I'm way more locked in than I ever was. That's how I locked it. Like I said, that's how I locked in to get into the mindset to make this video. I was like, I gotta bust one out. And so I did. I busted one out. You know how locked in I am? You see how amped up I am to talk to you? I am so amped right now. Alright? I am so fucking amped. I'm ready to fuck. Alright? I'm boosting the numbers up, bro. Anyways, back to what I was saying. Gooning can be beneficial. There's an art to it. There's an essence to goon. A lot of people, like I said, will shame it. Like, yeah, I remember back in middle school, it was like a thing where, like, everyone, there was barely anyone that talked about gooning. It was almost like it was looked down upon. I don't know if that's normal. I don't know why it was. And some kids are like fucking shamed for gooning, and they still do it to this day. Like, you go on YouTube, you go on TikTok, you'll see plenty of shit about like how gooning is bad for you, how it's destructive and all this. You know what I say to that? I say use it or lose it, bro. Use it or fucking lose it, bro. I mean, if you're not gonna goon, like, okay, if you're not gonna goon, you don't have to shame everyone else that's gooning. I'm a gooner too. How many of you are gooners, bro? I'm sure there's a lot of gooners out there that need to hear this message. They need to embrace the lifestyle. You need to embrace who you are as a person, okay? Because that's what I did. I just embraced who I was. I just morphed into my like inner spirits, and gooning kind of like put me into a meditative state because there's an art to it. Like I said, there's a complete art to gooning. And I'm gonna go over this meditative state I enter because I enter this meditative state when it comes to gooning, when it comes to listening to like really good music, when it comes to getting high, um, being with a girl I really like. I enter this meditative state. Um, it's honestly all these things. Some of them may be vices, but they get me into this state. Okay. And that's why I embrace gooning. Now I know that it's not like that for everyone. Okay, some people, they're just goon. All right. I looked more into it for me. For me, I looked more into it. And I found the secret. I found what makes gooning the best. So like I said, there's an art to gooning, there's an essence to it. You just have to lock the fuck in and just goon. You just have to embrace your lifestyle, bro. Like embrace who you are. Stop being ashamed of gooning. Especially like the women out there. I need more women coming out and saying they're gooners. I need more women coming out and saying they watch porn, bro. I mean, I'm not okay. Porn is one thing where like it's bad. Okay, it's not something you should be proud of. In a sense, it's not something you should be proud of. I'm not really proud that I watch porn, but I will say What else am I supposed to goon to? I mean, women goon to books. Yeah, I feel like you shouldn't be proud that you goon to like romance novels or these smut novels and things like that. I don't think you should be proud of gooning. You should be proud to be able to goon, to be able to enter the inner mind and imagine a scenario and goon to it. That's what you should be proud of because that's a brain exercise. I mean, that's good for you. That's good for the mind. That's good for the body. I mean, how is that not? But porn, I think it's bad. I think porn's kind of bad. But at the same time, there are benefits. If you don't watch porn in your game, more power to you, bro. I mean, more power to you. I mean, I can do that. However, I prefer not to. I will say, porn is kind of bad. I do kind of condemn porn, especially just the way the industry is. It's pretty evil. It's not a good industry. It's pretty evil. It's pretty predatory to young minds. Okay, so porn I condemn. Gooning, however, is one thing where it's like I don't condemn that. I like gooning. Okay, I love gooning. Hell, I live to goon, bro. I live to goon. I live for a long time. But the goon is probably one of the top five for now because I feel like there's gonna be more things I'll live for, like my wife, my kids, my money. There's gonna be things in life I'm gonna live for probably. But as of right now, it's gooning. Um, to be honest, I can't remember. Oh, gooning, sex, money. It, I kind of like to gamble, but I guess that counts as money. Yeah, to be honest, I can't really name everything in the top five. I'm low-key kind of sad. That's sad, bro. Okay, anyway, there's something sad about good. So, um, I'm just gonna leave off the notes because I gotta have to end the video. Live, laugh, goon, bro. Live, laugh, goon. That's the last thing I'm gonna tell you. You know, crank one out when you need to. Sometimes it feels good to just bust one out, bro. Just fucking release all the negative energy from your body. It feels good to do that sometimes. Just fucking do it, all right? Just lock in, man. All right, bye.